Welcome to our journey into the life of one of history's most iconic figures, George Washington, a man who wielded immense power yet mastered the art of restraint, a leader whose stoic virtues shaped a nation and left a legacy that endures to this day. In this video, we'll explore how Washington's life embodied the principles of Stoicism, discipline, humility, and resilience, and how his choices under pressure can inspire us all. So sit back and let's dive into the story of George Washington, Restraint and Power. Chapter 1. The Making of a Stoic Leader. George Washington wasn't born a Stoic philosopher, but his life was a masterclass in Stoic principles. Born on February 22, 1732 in Virginia, Washington grew up in a world of privilege, but also hardship. His father died when he was just 11, leaving young George to navigate a complex world without a father's guidance. This early loss taught him a key Stoic lesson. We cannot control what happens to us, only how we respond. Washington's early years were marked by ambition and self-discipline. As a teenager, he worked as a surveyor, mapping the wild frontiers of Virginia. It was grueling work, requiring precision, patience, and resilience, qualities that would define his character. Imagine a young man, barely 16, trekking through dense forests, enduring harsh weather, and learning to rely on himself. This was Washington's first test in controlling his emotions and focusing on what was within his power. The Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius, believed that adversity is a teacher. Washington's early struggles forged a man who could face chaos with calm resolve. Chapter 2. The Soldier's Discipline. By his early 20s, Washington's reputation as a capable surveyor earned him a commission in the Virginia militia. It was 1753, and tensions were rising between the British and French in the Ohio Valley. Washington was sent on a dangerous mission to deliver a message to the French, demanding they leave British-claimed territory. The journey was treacherous, freezing rivers, hostile terrain, and the constant threat of attack. Yet Washington completed the mission, proving his courage and composure under pressure. But it wasn't all triumph. In 1754, during the French and Indian War, Washington led a small force into battle at Fort Necessity. Outnumbered and outmaneuvered, he was forced to surrender, a rare defeat. Instead of succumbing to shame or despair, Washington reflected on his mistakes. Like the Stoic philosopher Epictetus, who taught that we should learn from our failures without being defined by them, Washington used this setback to grow. Over the next few years, he honed his leadership, earning the respect of his men through his discipline and fairness. He didn't seek glory, he sought duty. This restraint, choosing responsibility over ego, became a hallmark of his character. Chapter 3. The Revolutionary Stoic. By 1775, the American colonies were on the brink of revolution. The Second Continental Congress chose Washington to lead the Continental Army against the world's most powerful military, the British Empire. Why Washington? He wasn't the most experienced general or the loudest voice in the room, but he was steady, principled, and trusted. His presence inspired confidence. Leading the Continental Army was no easy task. His soldiers were undertrained, underfunded, and often outnumbered. Winters like the brutal one at Valley Forge in 1777 tested their resolve. Thousands died from disease and starvation. Yet Washington remained a pillar of strength. He shared his men's hardships, refusing special treatment. He wrote letters to Congress, pleading for supplies, but never lost his composure. Here we see Washington embodying the Stoic principle of amor fati, love of fate. He accepted the harsh realities of war, focusing only on what he could control: his leadership, his example, and his unwavering commitment to the cause. One story stands out. During the crossing of the Delaware River on Christmas night, 1776, Washington led a daring surprise attack on Hessian forces in Trenton. The river was icy, the weather brutal, and the odds stacked against them. Yet Washington's calm determination rallied his men. The victory at Trenton wasn't just a military win. It was a testament to his ability to turn adversity into opportunity. Chapter 4: Power and Restraint. After years of grueling war, the American colonies won their independence in 1783. Washington could have seized power. His soldiers revered him. Some even suggested he become king. In a world where power corrupts, Washington did something extraordinary. He walked away. He resigned his commission and returned to his farm at Mount Vernon. This act of restraint shocked the world. King George III reportedly called Washington the greatest man in the world for giving up power voluntarily. The Stoics would have approved. Seneca wrote, "No one is free who is a slave to their desires." Washington's desire wasn't power, it was virtue. But his story doesn't end there. In 1787, Washington was called back to public life to preside over the Constitutional Convention. His presence lent credibility to the fragile new government. When the time came to choose the first president of the United States, there was only one name on everyone's mind: George Washington. Chapter 5: The Stoic President. As president, Washington served 2 terms from 1789 to 1797, setting precedents that shaped the nation. He avoided overstepping his authority, knowing that every decision would set a tone for the future. He surrounded himself with brilliant minds like Alexander Hamilton and Thomas Jefferson, even when they clashed. Washington listened, weighed their advice, and acted with deliberation. His presidency wasn't without challenges. The young nation faced economic struggles, internal rebellions like the Whiskey Rebellion, and foreign pressures from Britain and France. Yet Washington remained a unifying figure. His stoic discipline, his ability to remain calm, just, and focused, held the country together. In 1797, Washington once again stepped down, refusing a 3rd term. This final act of restraint cemented his legacy as a leader who valued the Republic over personal ambition. Chapter 6: Lessons from Washington's Stoicism. George Washington died in 1799, but his life continues to teach us. What can we learn from this Stoic titan? His story isn't just a historical relic. It's a blueprint for living with purpose, resilience, and virtue in a chaotic world. Let's unpack the timeless lessons from Washington's Stoic approach to life, lessons that can guide us through our own trials and triumphs. First, restraint is power. Washington's greatest strength wasn't his military victories or his presidency. It was his ability to say no to power, to ego, to temptation. In an era when victorious generals often crowned themselves kings, Washington's decision to step down after the Revolutionary War was revolutionary in itself. He understood that true power lies not in dominating others, but in mastering oneself. The Stoics, like Seneca, taught that freedom comes from controlling our desires, not indulging them. Washington's restraint, whether refusing a crown or stepping away from a 3rd presidential term, shows us that saying no to fleeting temptations can define a legacy far greater than any throne. Second, embrace adversity. From the loss of his father at a young age to the brutal winters at Valley Forge, Washington faced relentless challenges, yet he never saw adversity as a curse. Instead, like the Stoic philosopher Epictetus, who urged us to view obstacles as opportunities to practice virtue, Washington used hardships to forge his character. During the dark days of the Revolutionary War, when his army was starving and desertions were rampant, he didn't despair. He rallied his men, sought solutions, and led by example. This mindset invites us to reframe our own struggles, whether personal, professional, or societal, as chances to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Next, focus on what you can control. Washington couldn't control the icy Delaware River, the underfunded state of his army, or the political divisions in his cabinet. But he could control his actions, his integrity, and his commitment to duty. The Stoics call this the dichotomy of control, distinguishing between what's in our power and what isn't. Washington lived this principle daily, whether making strategic decisions in battle or navigating the fragile politics of a new nation. For us, this lesson is a reminder to let go of what we can't change, other people's opinions, external setbacks, and focus instead on our choices, our effort, and our values. This Stoic approach wasn't just theoretical for Washington. It was a way of life. Consider his daily habits. He rose early, maintained a rigorous schedule, and reflected on his actions through letters and journals. These practices echo the Stoic discipline of self-examination, as practiced by Marcus Aurelius, who wrote nightly to assess his thoughts and deeds. Washington's commitment to routine and reflection kept him grounded, even amidst the pressures of leadership. We can apply this today by carving out time to reflect on our goals, question our impulses, and align our actions with our principles. Imagine the clarity we could gain by asking each evening, did I act with integrity today? Did I let go of what I cannot control? Washington's Stoicism also teaches us the value of leading by example. He didn't just preach virtue, he embodied it. Whether sharing his soldiers' hardships at Valley Forge or listening patiently to opposing voices in his cabinet, he showed that leadership isn't about dominance, but about service. The Stoics believe that we influence others most profoundly through our actions, not our words. Washington's quiet strength inspired a fledgling nation to believe in itself. For us, this is a call to lead in our own lives, whether in our families, workplaces, or communities, by modeling the virtues we wish to see, like patience, fairness, and courage. Perhaps the most profound lesson is Washington's commitment to something greater than himself. The Stoics taught that we find meaning by serving a higher purpose, whether it's family, community, or an ideal. Washington's purpose was the idea of a free, united America. Every decision he made, from risking his life in battle to stepping down from power, was guided by this vision. His life challenges us to ask, what's our purpose? What cause or value are we willing to sacrifice for? By aligning our actions with a greater good, we, like Washington, can find clarity and strength in even the most turbulent times. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Washington lived this truth every day. His legacy isn't just in the nation he helped build, but in the example he set, a life of restraint, resilience, and purpose. By embracing these Stoic lessons, we can navigate our own challenges with the same quiet strength that defined America's first hero. Finally, George Washington wasn't perfect. He owned slaves, a moral failing that reflects the contradictions of his time. Yet he also freed his slaves in his will, a step toward reckoning with his era's injustices. His life wasn't about perfection, it was about striving for virtue in an imperfect world. Today, as we navigate our own challenges, Washington's story reminds us that true power lies in self-mastery, in restraint, in resilience. Whether you're facing personal struggles or leading others, ask yourself, what would Washington do? How can I embody the Stoic virtues of courage, wisdom, and humility? Thank you for joining us on this journey through the life of George Washington, a man whose restraint and power continue to inspire. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share it with others. Let's keep exploring the lives of history's greatest minds together. Until next time, stay strong, stay stoic,